Hello, entrepreneurs. Joe DiChiara bringing you another amazing version of Joe DiChiara Presents How to Win at Business. And tonight's episode is brought to you by Bedrock University. Tuition is free and we're open for business, folks. There is no COVID-19 in our classrooms. We have world-class trainers like Mike Wolf, Haley Gray, John Limbacher, and more to come. And also, tonight's episode is brought to you by Sudoku with love and affection. If you're looking for COVID-19 masks that don't look like this, that are cool and made with love, go to Sudoku.com. And other items, they are putting up Christmas items, all kinds of stuff, all handcrafted and made with love by Sudoku, my sister Sid, and my mom Cookie. So I highly recommend, and I don't even get an affiliate fee for this. And actually, they're not even paying me for the sponsorship. So I need my friend Anthony Camacho, the hitman, to train me on how I can start selling this stuff. So that being said, if you don't know me, here I am. I am a CPA working out of Flushing, New York. I am live right now, unless you're watching the recording. If you're watching the recording, give me a hashtag replay. If you're watching live, and I would love to interact with you here. And just so you know, if you're commenting, I think you got to give StreamYard some kind of permission to use your name. So a lot of times people are commenting and I don't see who they are until afterwards. So, I specialize in working with the smallest of small businesses, the brand new business owners, people that have never been in business before, the people that are transitioning from corporate life to entrepreneurship. Maybe you're about to retire and you're looking to, do it correctly and transition. Don't quit your day job like I did too many times. And I am here to support basically the 25 million sole proprietors that are out there that are unaware of the problems with being a sole proprietor. And all I'm trying to do here is offer public service to educate and inform not only the individuals, not only the business owners, but it turns out, folks, that the professionals that need to know this stuff don't know it. They're not informed. And I'm gonna give you my own personal experience that I had just a few hours ago with a CPA. So, it is, again, what I try to do is what I do is I break everything down to its simplest, lowest common denominator. Do you remember that in math? The denominator when you divide stuff, and there was the common denominator. So I just look for the common denominators and use that as a guidepost to help put my people on the right track. So I've been in the process of hiring a VA. And, it was pretty interesting because what I've done is I asked all of them what they think that I do. And all of them said that I help businesses grow. And that's not really what I do. So there's obviously something wrong with my messaging, and we're working on that. I love helping people grow. But to be honest with you, I'm not an expert in that. I'm not an expert in helping people grow. And you know, if I was, I would be like H&R Block right now. So I am not an expert on growth. I know some things that work. I definitely know what doesn't work. And what doesn't work is it is impossible to grow a business if you are not on track. So that is my specialty. I am an expert in getting people on track from start to any other point they are in their business. Now, what I used to do, and not that this matters to you, but what I used to do is take established companies that were off track, large construction companies, you know, and creating the guidelines, the train tracks for them to grow. You know, I can only install the tracks and I can get you going. Once you're going, it's up to you to grow the business. There's plenty of experts out there that do that stuff. So I'm just focusing on the basic bookkeeping, tax preparation, tax planning. And unfortunately, I handle a lot of tax problems. And the reason for that is I'm not looking for people with tax problems. I used to, you know, it's a lucrative business. It's heart-wrenching when you deal, if you're in that kind of environment where you're only dealing with people with problems. It's not easy to do it long term. But unfortunately, in the market that I'm in now, which is brand new business owners, people that really need the guidance. And I'm looking at prior tax returns, you know, and I can understand if somebody did their return, they're on their own and you don't know, how could you? I don't know how, you know, even if you have a simple W-2, I don't know how most people could do their own return, but that's a whole nother story. So, you know, that being said, so somebody comes to me and they totally botched their tax return. I had a case once where I went to a guy, he was running a construction company, had real estate, and this guy was a train wreck. I mean, if you look up train wreck in the dictionary, there's a picture of him running his business. And he did his own tax return. And I said, Bill, you're probably going to get audited. And 6 months, he didn't hire me until 6 months later when he said, Joe, I got a letter from the IRS. I'm being audited. Can you handle it for me? So, you know, that's the number one market that the IRS is looking for. The people that are obviously doing it on their own. I mean, you got to sign, you don't have a CPA or an enrolled agent signing your return. So right away, if you're doing your own return and you're a sole proprietor, you're in danger. You're in danger. You're in danger of being audited. And I don't care if you're following the laws, because there is nothing ever that comes good out of an audit. So you want to avoid audits at all cost. So the last couple of years, having a chance to review. So every time I get a client, I review at least the last 2 years of tax returns. And I have to tell you, I have never seen so much blatant incompetence by certified public accountants, enrolled agents, people that should know how to file a tax return. I had to drop a client because I considered that what her accountant was doing was tax fraud. They were showing losses 50, 60, 70,000 a year on a sole proprietorship every year. I couldn't believe that they haven't been audited yet. And the only thing that I could think of is because she's having it done by a CPA. Another client that I just dropped, and if you're listening, maybe you'll learn something. Okay, it came as a referral. Another guy with a small construction company that was growing, and I did what I always do, and I looked at his tax returns. And the first thing I noticed was that, when you're a corporation, it's supposed to say Inc. or Corp. Or Ltd. so that the public knows that they're dealing with a corporation. Well, he didn't have that, and I asked him why. And this is what he told me. His accountant told him that he has Inc. at the end of his name, when he goes to cash checks, they're going to red flag him. So he left off Inc. And now what he's doing is he was taking hundreds of thousands of dollars in checks and cashing them on the advice of his CPA. They forgot to report those cash checks on, and that's all I could say is they forgot to report it, because when I looked at the returns, it didn't match. The sales that he had in his system was like half of what he actually reported. So you got a CPA there teaching or trying to tell his client how to commit tax fraud. Well, here's the problem with that, folks. Check cashing is more regulated than probably any other industry. I mean, I can't think of it. And if you think about why, they are monitoring check cashing places for terrorists and drug dealers. So if you think that you're hiding something by cashing checks, they know it. They're going into the, and listen, since 9/11, they got these algorithms at the they know who's committing tax fraud. And if you're with one of those accountants, those schlock accountants that are telling you how to cheat, eventually they're going to get bagged, and all of their clients will get audited. So, it's kind of, when I got into accounting, we were known as the trusted advisors. Okay, it came with respect, with responsibility. Okay, I'm not a police officer. I don't work for the government. I don't work for the IRS. But I am not ever going to try to help my clients commit felonies. Now, plenty of times, clients come to me and they want me to help them commit felonies, which is why I stopped doing business with those kinds of people. But it's kind of shocking to learn that the people in my profession have sunk so low that they are blatantly helping. They're not helping their clients. You see, that's the problem. They're not helping their clients. They're getting them into deep doo-doo. So, and I told my coach when I got this client, I said, this guy's going to be high maintenance, and he ain't going to want to do business legally, because when somebody starts doing business that way, they think that they're always going to get away with it. My experience is that you might get away with it. And the things that you're doing today might not catch up with you next month or even next year. But 2 or 3 years down the road, you might get a knock on the door, like I have from the FBI, asking me if I prepared Sal Calora's tax returns. Because you see, Sal Calora was committing Medicaid fraud. This was 25 years ago. He was committing Medicaid fraud. And for some reason, he used my name as his tax preparer. So the FBI knocked on my door and wanted to know if I prepared his returns. And the agent, and this is just, it's funny because at the time the X-Files was on, and it was a woman FBI agent. So I asked her if this was an X-Files case. But this is the stuff that really happens, people. And the public is not aware of it because they've never had the experience. Unless you've had the personal experiences like I've had in dealing with the IRS, criminal investigations, audits at every kind of level, unless you've done that, you can't read about this stuff in books and advise your clients. So I had no choice but to fire the client that was committing money laundering and tax fraud. On top of that, he was paying his guys off the books. And he couldn't fathom the idea of paying payroll and workers' comp insurance. Now, the point is that there's a lot of people out there that are just dishonest. They don't care about the law. I don't think that he was one of them. I think that he's like everybody else. He went to a professional and asked for advice. And he got it. And the guy told him what he wanted to hear because he hasn't paid any taxes basically ever. What he thinks he paid was, a couple of $1,000s, and that, no. What I had to do was advise him to find a good criminal tax attorney. And it is, it breaks my heart to learn that there are, and it's not an isolated incident, folks. I am seeing these returns from people all over the country that they are professionals that are preparing returns for sole proprietors, and that's another thing. So I'm gonna end tonight with my own personal experience, and I see some people are. Hey Jess, you're getting hooked on this. This is 2 nights in a row. Yes, we could talk offline about affiliates. I actually have the company with the hiremyva.com that they are taking new clients, so that's great news. Thank you. Yeah, that my mission, Jess, is to, and this is what I believe, if I could lighten the load, relieve the stress, and teach people actually what they need to do. So, Jess is a client, and we just went through a thing with, she had somebody else, try to do a form for her, and and they made it way more complicated than it needed to be. And by the time we got done with the conversation, once I realized what needed to be done, I could have had the form filled out and filed in less time than it took us to discuss it. And that's it. It is complicated. The rules out there are complicated and convoluted, and it's not easy. Somebody, said it can be hard to. No, it's not hard to know. It's impossible. It's impossible to know all the rules. I don't know all the rules. And that's why I said, you know what? I'm really good at a few things, a couple of things I'm really, really good at. All the other stuff, I'm leaving for somebody else. I get clients now coming to me with, bigger clients that I have no intent, because I don't know that stuff. It's not that simple. You can't put CPAs and tax preparer and everybody into a box and say, oh, they're a CPA, they must know how to do taxes. No, it's not that simple, folks. I wish it were. What is simple, though, is when you start a business, the steps that have to be taken. So let me just go through this. Yes, it is getting easier, because of things like wave apps. Yes, it is. It's bad, and what I see, a lot of these CPAs and tax preparers, it's not even that they, and this is what makes it even scarier. I think it's not that they are knowingly telling people to commit tax fraud or do stupid things. I'll tell you a quick story about, this was over 20 years ago. I got a call from a new client. Believe it or not, I had an ad in the Penny Saver, and I got a call from a client who was under criminal investigation by the IRS and the FBI and whoever else. Let's just say they were in a cash, literally a coin-based business. Like, let's say it was a laundromat and you get coins. And I'm talking about over the course of the year, millions of dollars in coins. There were a lot of quarters. Okay. And these coins all had to be processed through a bank. So their idiot accountant told them, do not deposit more than $10,000, because then you'll have to fill out a form. This is what happened. Long story short, what he advised them to do is called structuring. It's a federal offense to knowingly make your deposits less than $10,000. And, they were also guilty of committing money laundering and tax fraud. But the funny thing is, the most serious charge was the structuring. If it was just tax fraud, they may not, it may not have changed much, but they followed and the accountant was not aware of this. The law is in existence to identify drug dealers, terrorists, people that are laundering money. If you're in a legitimate cash business, you have nothing to hide. Why would somebody tell you to commit a felony? And that was a serious trouble, because that showed intent. That showed intent. So these are, at the time I thought that was an isolated incident, but it turns out that there are a lot of fly-by-night professionals. If you go into a professional to ask for advice and they don't tell you what you want to hear, tough. Why are you going to them? I have to tell people stuff they don't want to hear all the time. And a lot of times, I rub people the wrong way. Who wants to be the bearer of bad news? It wasn't fun telling that client he should find a criminal attorney. And I'm not sure that he's taking me seriously. but that's not my problem. So, here's the crux of it. Let me summarize the situation for you, because, the last couple of years have really been kind of eye-opening and shocking to me. I've been in I call it the CPA bubble, thinking that, well, this is how most businesses run. No. What I found out was that there's 25 million sole proprietors out there, which doesn't make any sense. So I want to find out why. And this is one of the reasons why, because there are bad tax professionals out there by the truckload, people. And I don't know what the solution is. There's only so many people that I can handle. The solution really is education and vetting out these. The criminals will be vetted. The people the accountants, the schlock people that are actually knowingly committing fraud and tax evasion and getting their clients in trouble. There's always been a system for vetting them. But the incompetent ones, the ones that give advice on stuff that they have no business giving advice on, that's a serious, serious problem for sole proprietors. It's a problem for sole proprietors. Because if you go into business and you're seeking the advice of somebody, how are you going to know if they're right or if they're wrong? You can't judge somebody's ability to do tax work based on how much money they get you back. That's not a good measure. So I want to share with you my own personal experience. Today, I decided that I'm setting up a new entity for my CPA practice. It's a professional corporation. So if you're not aware of this, if you're like a licensed professional, you have to jump through some more hoops to do business as a corporation. And they call it a professional corporation. It's a PC, so it doesn't say Inc. So I want to set up Joseph R. DiChiara, CPA PC. And I needed to get the forms notarized. I do a search. It happens that there's a CPA firm around the corner that does notary work. Great. Walk over there with the paper. Now, I haven't been in a CPA office in a long time. So it brought back some memories. I go in there and they got the file cabinets with, here's the S Corps, here's the C Corps, here's the individuals, the payroll file, just typical CPA office. And she's got on there PLLC. So she's a professional limited liability company. She's not incorporated. She's got an LLC, which means that she's a sole proprietor for tax, unless she's made a tax election. So anyway, so I'm going into a CPA that's actually a sole proprietor. And it turned out that she didn't know you could be a corporation as a CPA. She had no idea. She asked me all kinds of questions. And they didn't just start out. They've been around a long time. And it just made me wonder, like, where are people learning this stuff? Where do they get their information from? I went to a professional. So now if I was starting a corporation, I might have gone to them. And if they didn't know that a CPA could elect to be taxed as a corporation, there's something seriously wrong with this picture, folks. So, I don't know what the solution is. Part of the solution is just talking about it, I guess. And Believe me, I know plenty and plenty of professionals, tax preparers that are out of this world professionals. They know what they're doing. I'm not saying that they're, for the most part, they just don't know for some reason. Okay. They didn't start out when I started out. They didn't get the same kind of experience. Not really my problem. What I do know is those people are creating a lot of work for people like me. So, oh, yes, you're actually, she's not an LLC, she's an LLP, she's a professional. So again, I can't see, who's always commenting here, but, thank you. I will go back and I'll thank you on the Facebook feed. But, that's my story. I'm sticking with it. Be careful, folks. If you're looking for an accountant, a tax professional, vet them carefully. Okay. If they just do everything you ask them to do, there's something wrong. If they're not teaching you, there's something wrong. Okay. That's my story. I'm sticking with it. Thank you so much. God bless. And I will be back again tomorrow with some more exciting information. Thank you.